Who is going to be the next national security advisor for President Donald Trump? If you ask 3 different news sources, you'll get 3 different answers. I'm going to give you the top 4 picks right now. I got a poll going on my channel. Make your voice heard. Who do you think it's going to be? Or do you think it's going to be somebody outside the box? I'm going to give you the rundown of these 4 top choices that we're hearing from different places, different news sources, and I'll give you my opinion at the end, who I believe it will be. Now, right now, Trump threw the press a curveball yesterday. I was down there at the White House while this whole story broke. The press corps, they were all geared up, and they were even actually shouting at President Donald Trump during the national prayer service, asking questions, trying to get answers about Mike Waltz, which I thought was a little bit disrespectful. While we're having a national prayer service, they're screaming about Mike Waltz. They all were putting out the news that Mike Waltz was being fired, he was being outed, and that turned out not to be true. Trump threw them a curveball by saying Mike Waltz is now his nominee as ambassador to the UN. So they didn't see that one coming, and Trump always kind of keeps the press on their toes. They never really know what he's thinking. Trump usually does things unorthodox. He did that again yesterday by nominating Mike Waltz for his ambassador to the UN. Now, he's also saying that currently serving in the role of National Security Advisor in a temporary fashion here is Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So Marco Rubio holding down both positions, but Trump is going to eventually here nominate somebody to replace Mike Waltz at the National Security Advisor role. Now, let's start with Axios. Axios has the favorite right now as Stephen Miller. Now, Stephen Miller, who just lit up the press to their faces. I was there in the press briefing room yesterday as this went down, and he called them out right to their faces for not covering all of these families whose lives have been destroyed by illegal immigrants. Now, Stephen Miller, his big thing is the immigration. This is his strong suit. So I don't know if they're going to want to pull him off of the position he currently holds, because Stephen Miller, he's one of the best fighters that President Donald Trump has. There's no doubt he would make a great national security advisor. But I don't know necessarily if you want to take him off of that role. Stephen Miller is somebody who he's been a longtime Trump advocate. He's been a longtime Trump ally. He's one of the speech writers. He's one of the best people in the Trump administration to pass the Trump agenda. He is all on board, and he does a delicious takedown of the media. There's no question about that. So Axios says that he's the top man for the job. Would Stephen Miller want the position? I'm sure that if Trump asked him, he would do it. But Stephen Miller seems to be best suited right now for what's going on with the immigration, and more domestically rather than a wider, broad scope of the national security advisor. So Axios, though, they did report that he is the top man for the job right now from their sources. What they're saying, who knows what the hell their sources are. But would I be upset if Stephen Miller got the position? Hell no. I think Stephen Miller is great, and I think he would be a perfect person for the role of National Security Advisor. Now, Fox News and other outlets, many of the other outlets, all tap Steve Wickoff as the frontrunner for this position. Steve Wickoff, obviously a longtime President Trump ally. He's been with him a long time. He is the envoy to the Middle East. He has been a top U.S. negotiator with Russia amidst the war with Ukraine. He could be tapped here for this position. He's a former real estate tycoon, long-term ally of Trump, whose focus has been on negotiating with Russia and the peace deal for Ukraine. Wickoff is most notably credited with helping secure the reality of the U.S. school teacher Mark Fogel from a Russian prison back in February. So Steve Wickoff doesn't seem to have the credentials that would fit in this national security advisor role. I mean, I think it would be more of a loyalty pick for President Donald Trump, which he is known to do as well. Pick people that he feels more comfortable with, and he goes a little bit outside the box there. But no question that Wickoff is all on board with the Trump agenda, just like Steve Miller is. And that is a key trait that Trump is going to be looking for here, is somebody that is loyal to pass the Trump agenda. Steve Wickoff fits that box, and so does Stephen Miller. Many sources are saying that Steve Wickoff is going to be tapped for the role. Now, another source that we hear is another pick that we're seeing on the top, we keep seeing recurring, is Rick Grenell. So Richard Grenell, he is a veteran of Trump's first administration. He served as the U.S. ambassador to Germany and as the active director of national intelligence. He served in this administration right now as a special president envoy for special missions as the interim executive director of the Kennedy Center. So a lot of people are floating his name around. They also floated his name around the U.S. For the U.S. ambassador for the UN, which now he has nominated Mike Waltz for. So that seems to be out. But Rick Grenell was in the first administration. He is now in the second administration in a smaller capacity, but his name is coming around as one of the top names that Trump could tap for this national security advisor position. Another name that we do see going on here is Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Obviously she is a strong ally of President Trump in Congress. I don't know now. They put this name out there. Trump had already nominated her to be the U.S. ambassador for the UN, and then rescinded that nomination, saying he was not afraid, but he liked her as a strong ally in the House, and was afraid. I guess I don't want to say afraid, but he didn't like the idea of someone else possibly getting that seat. He wanted to keep that seat strong. That was his reason for saying that he rescinded her nomination for the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, which now we know, obviously, again, Mike Waltz has been nominated for. So if he didn't want to lose that Congress seat for Elise Stefanik by making her the U.S. ambassador for the UN, I do not believe he is going to want to lose that seat for her and make her the national security advisor. So we do see her name coming up on there, and I think she is the least likely. Now, listen, I could be way off here. I'm not a political pundit. I'm just giving you my ham and egg view here. But it makes sense to think that if he didn't want to put up her seat for Congress to make her the ambassador to the UN, why would he want to do it to make her the national security advisor? So I don't see that coming. Now, another pick, and this is, I think, I would call it a fan favorite pick, is General Michael Flynn. General Michael Flynn was President Donald Trump's very first national security advisor. We know that they did General Flynn wrong with the entire Russiagate. He was, with many other people, wrongfully accused, and he was forced out of that national security advisory position in Trump's first, and it was an injustice that was done to General Michael Flynn. Now, we see the meme constantly coming up with Trump holding the hammer and General Flynn behind glass. When in emergency, break open glass. He would be, no doubt, he would be a MAGA favorite pick to get that position right now. He would be my favorite choice. I would love to see President Donald Trump go with General Michael Flynn. I had General Michael Flynn on the podcast just recently. He has suggested, and he has been putting in, some suggestions at the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth's behest, offering up some Chief of Staff suggestions to help Pete Hegseth out in that Defense Secretary position with some seasoned people that he believes would pass the Trump agenda and be all in on board with helping Pete Hegseth over at the Defense. So I believe that General Flynn is a possibility. I think he's a long shot here, but I do think he's a possibility. He's loyal to Trump. I think he would be all in on the Trump agenda. He is good as far as not just domestically, but foreign as well. He would be a great national security advisor. I think he was done wrong. I think he deserves another shot at being the national security advisor. So, again, we'll take a look at the previous Trump national security advisors, all of them that he's had. It began with General Michael Flynn. It then went to H.R. McMaster, which was a disaster. And then it went to John Bolton, which was even a worse disaster. And then it went to Robert O'Brien to finish out Trump's first term. And then now, we just had Mike Waltz. So this has been a position that has constantly been, rotated throughout Trump's first term and now his second. Now, also the reports are, and I was hearing this yesterday at the White House, that there are going to be massive firings or shakeups happening at the White House next week. Hearing this may all happen in one shot. There may be some other people getting out. We definitely know that Trump's biggest problem in his first administration was having people in there that were set to undermine him. We do know that Mike Waltz's deputy director there that he had at the National Security Advisor position was this Alex Wong. I believe it was what's her name, Laura Loomer, that popped the story there about this Alex Wong and his wife and what they were connected to and why this guy was a bad pick and why he was the most likely person that was responsible for this signal chat disaster that occurred. And so it makes sense that now Alex Wong is out as well. And so it's going to be about putting in people that want to pass the Trump agenda. So I believe the top four choices, I'm going to take Elise Stefanik off the list. Now, if Elise Stefanik becomes it, you can come back to this video and say, Alec, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you'd be right. So I don't think that Elise Stefanik belongs in the top 4 picks. I believe if it's going to be one of these 4, now again, Trump known to go outside the box, so he could totally sideswipe everybody and go with an outside candidate that nobody saw coming. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. So I'm giving you the top 4 candidates. It's going to be Stephen Miller, Steve Wickoff, General Michael Flynn, and Rick Grenell. Now, out of these picks, I believe the pick is going to be Steve Wickoff. I don't think that he's going to want to move Stephen Miller out of his position that he's in. I don't believe that he is going to want to go with Rick Grenell. Although, listen, I think Rick Grenell is a viable candidate here. I think he's a very good possibility. I think all these are good possibilities. I'd be happy with any of these 4 picks. I think the one that doesn't fit the most with the least credentials to do it is Steve Wickoff, but I believe he might be the likely person to get it just because of the fact that he is very loyal with President Donald Trump. Trump trusts him, and he is 100% in on the Trump agenda, which is a key to what is going to happen here going forward with the direction Trump wants to go. So I would say Steve Wickoff gets the job. I think he might be the biggest favorite right now. Right behind him, I think, is Stephen Miller. And then I would think the choice would be Rick Grenell and then Michael Flynn. Now, if it was up to me and Trump said, hey, Alec, who do you think I should put? I would put General Flynn. I think General Michael Flynn is fired up. I think he's a badass. I think he has a bone to pick and to reclaim that position. I think he would take it to heart. I think he would take it serious. And I think he would be a brilliant choice for National Security Advisor. But I do believe Trump is going to go with Steve Wickoff. What say you? I put a poll. It's on my YouTube page. If you guys are watching the video, get over to the poll. Make your voice heard. If you think it's somebody else, if you have a different pick in mind that you think Trump is going to go with, put it in the comment section down below or reply to the poll and put your pick down there and see if you can nail it, see if you can get it right. Currently, right now, as I said, we have Secretary of State Marco Rubio is filling in this role. He's doing a dual role now as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. Marco Rubio has emerged as one of the best people in the Trump administration. A lot of people worried about that pick kind of when he first announced him as Secretary of State. I think Marco Rubio is another guy that's doing a great job. He gets an A+ rating. And he's a guy also that is all in on helping Trump pass his agenda, which is why Trump thanked him in the National Prayer Service yesterday when I was there in the Rose Garden. He speaks highly of Marco Rubio. I think he has surprised a lot of people with, number one, the way he handles the media as well. I mean, this guy is another person that is very, very well with media relations. He turns these questions right around on the fake news media. So he's very good in the role that he has, and he'll be serving as the temporary National Security Advisor. Mike Waltz now UN ambassador to the UN. That's the nomination. Has to be confirmed by the Senate. I believe they'll be voting on that next week. So let me know your pick. Put your comment down below. Make your voice heard. Get in on the poll. Let me know which one you think out of those 4 choices are going to be the next National Security Advisor as Trump continues to take us and lead us into the golden age and making America great again.
You're listening to the Alec Show, the future